How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Thanks for stopping by. Level M Diecast, up to date. Matchbox, up to date. Today we are talking about the FD RX-7, the 94 Mazda RX-7. This is Matchbox man number 251. 251 for the RX-7. This is its initial offering right here. This was for World Class. These were pretty nice. They had some chrome windows, and you know, they were different. They had some nice rubber tires on there, some little print on there, full deets all the way around. And World Class was pretty nice. They were pretty fancy. It says RX-7 on the plate. The taillight bar is pretty generic. Then of course that old school Mazda logo right in there. And then they did mark the bases with World Class just to make sure. There is the base deets for this Mazda 158 scale 1993, debuted for the 1994 production run schedule. Basic range right here. This was in the Matchbox 1 to 75 range. You see it is a right-hand drive, by the way. This was its initial offering in just the mainline. Yes, it was Tyco and it was the 90s. This is the kind of stuff you got. So be thankful that we got World Class, because that was some pretty good stuff. Kind of see a little bit more details on the casting itself. A little bit of print on the hood, a little bit of print on the side. The spiral wheels were not great. They were not a good wheel. Tyco made terrible wheels. The Mazda does have surprisingly a separate piece for the spoiler on the back, and that is die-cast. So that spoiler is a separate piece and it's die-cast, which is definitely something you'd not see nowadays. That would be super, super rare. This one's, you know, it's pretty plain Jane, really not all that great. Now, in 1995, there was a promotion. They did a promotion, and this came with a tube of Aquafresh toothpaste, and it's the exact same one. They just left off the hood print, just probably just to get the cost down just a little bit, but it's the same print. That is gold foil print on the wheels, by the way. So they did gold foil, silver, or chrome. They didn't really do that with the RX-7, but they did a lot of that in the 90s. In general with Matchbox models. So that was your 95 promo right there. And then we moved on to the 95 1 to 75 range. So this was the basic range for 1995. We went from the crazy yellow one into the next year. They kind of, for the most part, kind of inverted the colors, sort of. Same deco on there, same lack of hood print for 1995. Same right-hand drive. Still the kind of tinted window. Still no prints on the front or the rear. You can see that separate spoiler piece there. Very, very, very minimum on the prints, but this model does have suspension, which is really nice. That was a pretty big staple of Matchbox back then. Now, sometime in 95, they decided, let's give it a variation. Why not? Let's just give it a variation. And so they did. They gave it the model right here with the print on the hood. So this one was the original one, the promo. They took the hood print away, and then they decided, let's bring the hood print back. It looks a little bit better with a little bit of extra hood print on there. The deco's certainly not nice, but it does look a little bit better. Chrome foil print for the wheels for these two models here for 1995. But it looks good in red. This model looks good in red. Definitely looks very Mazda RX-7 FD status. Now we're still talking about the 90s. I don't know if you guys remember Pogs. Yes, Pogs were a thing in the Matchbox world. They were called Match Caps, though. And this model came with Match Caps, aka Pogs. There was 8 models in the whole series. This is Super Chrome. So Super Chrome with just some ridiculously weird deco on the front there. It's not supposed to be anything fancy. It's not supposed to represent anything in general. And then it has a blue window with a white interior. It was just, this was a very weird time. Tyco did some very weird stuff. You know, designers that worked at Tyco were not very good. We'll just put it that way. We'll try to be nice. Details are pretty straightforward. Still no front or rear prints on this one. It does have a little bit of a black fade to the print there in the front, but it's still quite a stretch. Not the worst stretch, but it's still a pretty good stretch. All right, moving on to 1996. They're getting a little bit better with the deco. For some reason, they're still obsessed with yellow and orange for this model. So 1996 mainline right here does utilize the spiral wheels. It was ugly spiral wheels. They don't look that bad on this model, but the spiral wheel in general were just not very good. This is two-tone. They did a ton of two-tone stuff in 95 to 97. That was a big fad at the time, at least for the Matchbox designers, was fading one color to the next. So that was for 96 mainline. Now, in 96, that's when they were actually coming out with a new wheel to replace the spiral. And the RX-7 actually got released with that new wheel as part of a kind of a transition line moving towards 97. So this one is significantly better. I mean, you guys could admit that that 5-spoke concave looks a million times better than that spiral wheel ever could. The print quality improved a little bit. The tone of the prints and kind of the shade of them changed a little bit as well. So just the production standards went up comparatively speaking from the first one to this one. But if you look at those two, I mean, you can tell significantly that 5-spoke concave wheel just looked tremendously better. Tremendously better. All right. World class Matchbox Premier. Yes, Matchbox Premier. This is the height of Matchbox Premium stuff. 1996 still. This is the very first release in the Premium series. It does have a plate on there. Pretty standard prints for the light bar on the back there. It actually is a separate red for the light bar in the back there. It just doesn't look very good. It's a mass-produced item. You know, they did try to give it some two-tone in there. They tried to give it some extra print. Of course, it does sport some nice Roll Riders on there. Goodyear Eagles look pretty good. Still, of course, rocks the suspension. Full prints in the front, full prints in the rear. Still has your Mazda logo on there as well. And then, of course, right-hand drive even has a little bit of extra print in the steering wheel. Not really sure if that shows too much, but there's a little silver print in the center of the steering wheel right there. So, and then there is your base seats. You can see the tires were nice and wide. Nice and big wide. So that red one was World Class Series number 1, in case you're looking for that. World Class Series number 4 brought us the next one, which is just in yellow. And I do like the fact that they actually printed up the windshield wiper blade, or the rear wiper blade on the window, just for a little bit of extra detail. Still utilizes that same wheel as the red one did. It looks much better in yellow. This car just looks good in yellow. It just does. This car and the real one in real life. There is the taillight print you see on there. It still has the same plate. So still rocking the same plate as that first one. And then there is your base deets. Of course, there was no Premier print or nothing on the base. They weren't doing that kind of crazy stuff like that. All right, still rocking through. This one is for JCPenney. This is when if you got the JCPenney little box set that came with a little display stand for Premier. This one in silver looks fantastic. Still the same plate. Still rocking the same plate. The Mazda logo is a little bit big and not printed very well. But again, these are mass-produced items. So the quality wasn't exactly great back then. Details looks pretty good. So I do like this one in silver. Again, silver is a very good color. We love the color silver here on the channel. Tan interior with some black inserts. So they did try to just mix it up. You know, they tried to make it a little bit different. It's not perfect, but you know, they put some effort into some of this stuff. It wasn't the best effort, but they did some effort. All right, my apologies. That one in silver right there, that one was from Select Class Series 1. My apologies. This one right here was the one from JCPenney. So Select Class Series 1, yes, there was World Class and Select Class, both Series 1 through 4, and then after that, it was just, I believe it was just World Class after that. So Select Class was 1 through 4. Select Class was typically store exclusives or limited releases. The World Class stuff was like the general everything release. So my apologies, Select Class Series 1 for the silver one. This one is the one that came in the JCPenney box set. My apologies. Still rocks the same plate. A little frustrating that they couldn't change the plate up. This one in dark green looks really good too. This model looks very, very good in dark green. Just the same prints on there, the same wheel. You know, it was the same exact car. They just kept changing the outside color. Not a big deal. New stuff is new stuff. The color was pretty good though. I do like the green color. The green color was pretty good. All right, 1997. Yes, moving on to 1997. This is your mainline model right here. So they were still doing the two-tone. This one looks pretty good, though, in black and green. The 5-spoke looks good. The concave 5-spoke still has, of course, suspension on it. Still no prints on it, no details other than just some black and green paint. The green paint was pretty nice. Had a little bit of metal flake in there. Not a lot, but just a little bit. And of course, you're going to have some variations in production. Might be a little bit more black, a little bit more green. But it was all pretty straightforward. Still has the Thailand base on there as well. But it looks good with that concave wheel for sure. All right, now the Mazda RX-7 then moved into its first 5-pack in 1997. This was called Sleek Riders, and they were all chrome colored. They were not all pink, so don't get crazy. This one just happened to be pink with a little bit crazy deco on the side. Probably some designers still trying to bring forth some crazier times of the Tyco eras forward. By this time, Mattel had owned Matchbox. Mattel had acquired the Matchbox brand by this time. So this one may have been in production for a little bit longer. You can see the fit and finish of the chrome itself. It's not that great. The finish itself is a little bit uneven, but it does kind of reference Spectra Flame for the most part. The deck on the side is very interesting. It's like clouds, maybe waves or something. Again, blue window with a white interior. The interiors were just not very innovative unless you're talking about maybe the main lines were a little bit better. Now, if you remember, also in 1997, Matchbox had what they called the Gold Challenge. It was their version of Super Treasure Hunts, or Treasure Hunts, I guess you could say. Before Supers existed, but Treasure Hunts were taking the collecting community by storm. Hot Wheels was tearing it up with their Treasure Hunt, so Matchbox did the same thing. They were all gold. Every single quote-unquote Treasure Hunt model was gold. Why they chose to use the spiral wheels for this one, I don't know. Maybe they just had a whole cache of them left over and they just needed to use them up. Now, the interesting thing about all the Gold Challenge cars is they were gold and everything else was black. Interiors were black, the trim was black, bases were black. I liked the fact that they were very consistent. They were the same across the range. Other than a little bit of the chrome foil print on wheels, every single chase piece was exactly the same. Kind of like what Autoworld does now, where it's an ultra red and green light used to do just green machines. Now they do chrome ones and all kinds of crazy stuff. But this was a really cool idea. I thought that was a really cool idea back in the day. And then we move on to probably one of the hardest ones to find of all of the RX-7s. This one was from the Gold Collection, the Gold Coin Collection. These came in those ugly triangle-shaped, ridiculously looking packages. They were a triangle. But if you opened them up, it was basically a jewelry box with a car in it, and it came with a gold coin, a gold Matchbox coin. It was gold-plated, but not real gold, obviously. But some of those models were some of the most difficult to find. This RX-7, in my opinion, is probably the most difficult one to find of them all. This one is probably one of the better looking ones too. I think the blue is fantastic. It's much more vibrant off the camera. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's a lot brighter than it looks on the camera. On the camera, it looks kind of darker blue. But again, it is the same deco as all the rest of the Premiers as far as the prints, except for it doesn't have that plate on there. It says Rocket, which is pretty nice. But it used the same wheels. And nothing special with the base. Still rocking the Thailand base. So we'll throw that guy up right there. And then moving on to 1998 mainline. Yes, still rocking the two-tone. They just really liked giving this model a two-tone finish for some reason. So 1998 mainline right here. This one looks average. Looks exactly like the rest of the one we've been looking at. So the wheels look pretty good on this. It sits up a little bit high. But that was just the construction of Matchbox models back then. I still think it looks okay. It's got kind of an off-white, kind of almost like a gray interior, which is kind of interesting. And then there is your base deeds. Still rocking Thailand, so they were made in Thailand like forever. So we'll throw that guy up there. 1998's mainline. Now, 1998 brought it back to the 5-packs, and we got Sleek Riders 2. You can basically call this Sleek Riders 2. It wasn't actually called that. I think it was also called Sleek Riders, if I remember correctly. It's the exact same deco as the first one, just different colors. So it has the same squigglies on the side, still the same kind of chrome Spectra Flame finish to it. This time in purple. The finish is a lot better, a lot smoother. Looks a little bit more production quality. Still has the weird clouds on the side. Still rocks the 5 spokes, which I think is okay. This model really lacked, details in the back. It was always just so plain in the back because there's no casting details to it. And then, of course, a blue window. I'm not really sure. Matchbox was obsessed with blue windows in, like, the late 90s. It was a weird thing. Maybe that was the new Mattel ownership or something. I'm not really sure. All right, 1999. 1999 brought us, like, the most regular deco for the model yet. Black on black, black interior, black model. It says Mazda on there with the traditional Mazda logo, or traditional Mazda print. Still rocking that old school Mazda logo. But this one was pretty nice. Just solid black with that little bit of silver on the side. It looked good. It looked nice. It clean. Just a little bit of a tinted window. Just a really, really nice version, The gray base was a little bit better, a little bit nicer change up from what we've been getting. And, of course, you see it went to China with the gray base on there. But I liked it. Gave that little bit of a break for the chin spoiler right there just being gray. It was pretty good. And this is a reflection, obviously, of the Mattel ownership and getting a little bit more collector-oriented, a little bit more realistic-oriented as well. And then the very last time we saw this model, the FD RX-7, it came out in premium, came out in Coca-Cola. This came out in 2002. So this casting has been dormant for 23 years. It's not going to come back either. It finally got a new wheel. So a premium version that didn't use that other wheel. It used the 5-spoke wheel. That's basically like it's kind of a Mustang wheel. It's really kind of what that wheel was designed for. They used it for a lot of Fords, Mustangs. They used it a lot on the Expedition and stuff, which it looks good. Of course, Goodyear Eagle on there as well. These cars still had suspension, which was pretty nice. Coca-Cola all the way around, top, bottom, sides, and then a little bit of print on the back window as well. And then just a basic black base. You see that was when Matchbox had moved to that circle logo, which was definitely no bueno. And still good old China, still made in good old China because it was cheap. So we'll put that guy right there for 2002. So there you go. That is your Matchbox 251, the Mazda FD RX-7, up to date. Just a little side note, there was a Toy Fair model which pre-debuted at the very, very beginning. But that model is pretty much non-existent. I've been looking for that model for 2 years. And I have yet to find one for sale. So it'll happen eventually. But for now, just a disclaimer, there was a Toy Fair model as well. Otherwise, there it is, up to date. Drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think about that. Let me know what you think about the RX-7. And let me know what you think about the ridiculous decos that they used to do in the 90s. Because I'll just never get over it. I'll never get over it. But anyways, appreciate you guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you like that. Hit that subscribe. We really, 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 really want to hit 10,000 subscribers at some point. So we'll catch you later. Peace.